All right, good afternoon, good afternoon. All right, if you're watching me live, can you please comment? Or if you're watching the replay, let me know too, because I love when our folks watch the replays. So good afternoon, happy Thursday. The week is almost over. Yay! Okay, so real quick, for those of you that are in Empower Bookkeeper Network, remember that our live call is tonight at 8 p.m. Okay, so you'll get your text messages at 7, just like you guys normally do. It's 8 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes we do the calls at night. I try to do at least one a month at night, because I know that there are some people that are working or the middle of the day just doesn't work for them. And so listen, if you're coming on, let me know you're here, because I see that there are some numbers. I want to make sure you guys can hear me okay with the setup that I have right now. But all right, so today, okay, so this happens for those of you who are not in Empower Bookkeeper Network. This happens occasionally where, and it's weird because, okay, so what happens every once in a while, hey, Teresa, what happens every once in a while is some negativity like builds up in the group, right? And so, and this tends to happen when I push the group. And right now I am pushing the group, okay? We're doing the Next Step Challenge right now. And so I'm really pushing people out of their comfort zones, and I'm having them do things that they're not comfortable with. And so, and that breeds fear, right? And so what's happening is we're starting to see some fear posts pop up in the group, and then they kind of spiral. We see a lot of them. And this is totally normal. It's kind of a cyclical thing that happens, like I said, especially when I push people. And so we're seeing some of that now. And it just so happens I am reading, and I'm like, I wish I could make this required reading for Bookkeeper Training School. Okay. I put my Amazon affiliate link in the top of this post. It's called The High Five Habit with Mel Robbins. Take control of your life with one simple habit. But the great thing about this book is that, yes, it's about her high five habit. And I've talked about the high five habit in Empower Bookkeeper Network for my students. But this is also about how to stop all of the negative stuff that we do to ourselves on a regular basis. And I thought that was really interesting. I was reading through, I was actually reading this at the doctor's today. I have my annual physical, which if you're not going for your annual checkups, make sure that you're going, because it's super, super important to your health. But one of the things that I read today is she said, and this is from the book, that your negative thoughts trigger negative feelings and negative actions, and they create a spiral. And so, and what happens is we're kind of seeing this now, like, we've had people that, maybe they're not getting, they're followed up, or they didn't pass the certification exam on the first try, or whatever it is. And it's like this spiral, like, okay, now I'm done, right? And so negative thoughts create negative feelings, which create negative actions. And so when you have your goals in place, like if your goal is to build your bookkeeping business and you have a stumble, and we all have stumbles, okay? I have stumbles, you have stumbles, we're all gonna have stumbles, okay? It happens. The difference is, are you gonna tell yourself that you're a terrible person and you can't do this and it's never gonna happen for you? And then the feelings come with that, right? You start to say, okay, you start to feel like you're a failure, right? And all of the feelings that come with that. And then your action is, I'm done. I've stopped. I'm done, right? How many times has that happened to you in your life when you're trying to accomplish something and you stumble and you go, that's it, done. Okay? We cannot allow a stumble or a pause to end what we're doing, okay? I'll tell you, if I did that in my life, I would not have finished college. Okay, I would have dropped out my freshman year in college. I would have never transferred to another school. I never would have finished my accounting degree. I never would have passed the CPA exam. I never would have gone back to get my master's degree. I never would have started teaching at university. I never would have had my son. I never would have gotten married to Jeffrey way back in the day. I never would have moved to Florida. I never, like, my whole life would have been completely different if every single time I stumbled, I stopped. Bookkeeper training school would not exist had I stopped with the first thing I tried online. Okay, so I want you to think about that for a second, right? I just want you to think about what is possible if you keep going, okay? So now what do, right? Because so you have the negative thought, you have the negative feeling, you have the negative actions, which make you feel worse, where you have more negative thoughts and more negative feelings and more negative actions, and it spirals. Has this ever happened to any of you? And you're spiraling. How do you stop that? Okay, so the first thing that I do is I have to recognize that it's happening. So if you're like, the first negative thought that I have, I'm like, whoa, wait, whoa, hold on, stop, right there, stop. Okay, you have to recognize the negative thoughts are happening, because if you don't recognize them, okay, it's really hard to stop it. So, but here's the thing. The cool thing with this though is that if you recognize that you're in any part of the process, okay, so you can be like, hey, you know what? Okay, this was happening to me this morning. Okay, I'll give you a real life example this morning. So I was in bed this morning, and and the alarm went off, and I was like, I don't want to get up. I don't want to get on the bike. I don't want to get up. And this little voice in my head is going, Kristen, your annual physicals today. Like, today would be the day to go get on the bike. And I'm like, yeah, no, because it's been such a long time. I'm not that person. You know, I have failed at being this person. And then you start to feel like a failure. So you're like, you know what I'm going to do? Because you know what failures do? Failures don't get out of bed. Failures lay down in bed and stay where they are. And yeah. And I'm like, see, I'm reinforcing that failure, because I'm like literally have you ever had conversations like this with yourself about anything that you want to do? Maybe it's about like, you know, like opening up the course and working on your course. Maybe it's exercise, whatever your thing is, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay. And I'd love to know if you've done this, what your thing was, like what your thoughts were. And so I'm sitting there in bed. It is 6:30 in the morning and I've already snoozed. Okay. And I said, you know what? I'm having a spiral. I know I'm having a spiral. And so it is time, you know, once I recognized, I said, okay. So what I did is I took a really deep breath and I set my intention. Okay. So I took a really deep breath and I said, okay, what do I want to do right now? I said, I want to get up out of bed and I want to go get on that bike. The bike's in my bedroom, just so you know. Okay. I'm going to get up and I'm going to get on the bike. And so, another thing that I got from Mel, which if you click on the link at the top, it'll also bring you into her book too. She also has a book called The 5-Second Rule. Okay. Which is like the book that kind of got her to be famous. And I counted down. I said, okay, so I'm going to count down from 5. And when I hit 1, I'm getting out of this bed and I'm going to go right to the drawer and I'm going to get my shoes and I'm going to put on my shoes. I'm ready to get on the bike. And so I count down 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I got up out of bed. And I went, before I could even think about it, I just went, got my shoes. It's dark in the room, put on my shoes, got on the bike. Okay. So one thing that really helps when you're in this spiral, right? Sarah, I know, I love her, Sarah. I really do. I think she's absolutely fantastic. So one of the things that I do is I try to figure out what the action needs to be. So what is the action that I need to do? Now I know some of you are like, okay, so Kristen, so what do I do when I am so scared that I'm going to mess something up, that I've convinced myself not to act? Okay. And I know, and that happens. Okay. So my thought is, okay, so first of all, what are my thoughts? Right. So let's go all the way back to the thought and say, okay, so what thought am I having right now that is turning into the negative feelings and the negative action? And so I think, okay, so the thought is I'm never going to pass my QuickBooks certification. Okay. So the really cool thing about the QuickBooks certification exam is that you get 3 tries to take it. And if you fail, then you get to take it again in 60 days. Okay. And every single time you do it, okay, every single time you do it, you're going to get a little bit better at it. And in the meantime, so let's say even if you don't pass on the first 3 tries and you go through, you wait the 60 days, while you're waiting the 60 days, that doesn't mean you don't build your business. While you're waiting those 60 days, that means you go out and you start marketing and you keep moving on in the course and you do what you're doing and you get some clients and you get some real world experience under your belt, and then you take it again. It's just a bump. Because I didn't pass the CPA exam the first time that I took it either. And the vast majority of people don't pass it the first time they take it. The vast majority of people don't pass. Okay. And you just keep going. And you keep moving towards the goal. But when you say to yourself, fear always speaks in absolutes. And so when you say, I'm never going to do this, okay, or I always do this, like that is all sorts of negative thoughts and feelings, right? And so what you need to do is you need to peel that back and say, okay, it's not that I'm never going to pass. I might not pass today, but that doesn't mean that the dream is over. Right? That just means that piece is going to happen later, but the rest of the pieces are still going to happen. And so that's okay. That's all right. There's lots and lots of bookkeepers out there that never even attempt this exam. Okay. And I'm like, boom, you're 4 weeks in, go take the test. Right? Okay. Again, I'm pushing people outside their comfort zones this month. Okay. Me for the last year, and I'm okay. Who knew? Kristen knew. Kristen knew all along. That's right, Sarah, I did. I knew all along. So I find that the 2 things that I can do and that you can do to help stop that spiral, okay, is that even if you don't feel like it, take the positive action. Figure out what that positive action is for you. So maybe it is, maybe it's finding an accountability partner. Maybe it is saying, I'm going to go through my last exam and I'm going to search, I'm going to go through and I'm going to make sure that I've got all the right answers to those questions. Maybe it is just posting in the group, like, okay, I just need a second and I'm going to commit to the fact that I am not done. Okay. Because let me tell you something, like, I think that our brains have programmed us to give up so easily. And that cannot be your option. That cannot be your option in your world. Okay. So the first thing is, find that next small action that you can do. For some of you, if you go through and you do not pass the exam on the first try, then you're like, okay, cool. So I'm going to go fill out the assessment in bookkeeper training school, and I'm going to move on to module 5, and I'm going to build up my marketing, and I'm going to go get me some clients. And that's your next step. Okay. But I find that you've just got to break that cycle of giving up, because failure, let me tell you something, failure is something that happens to everyone. Okay. The only difference between the people who get stuck there and the people who don't is the people who don't say, okay, what's next? What's the next step now? Okay. Oh, Coach, thank you. Thank you. Love Fi, thank you. So Sarah said, I just read about a lady who's worked as a bookkeeper for 12 and a half years and is mind blown that she didn't pass. And there's moms in here passing first time after 60 days trying learning. I feel confident we have a fantastic course and a wonderful group backing us up all the way. Oh, thank you, Sarah. I love Sarah. Sarah's fantastic. I love when she hops on the calls because she always just brings like this energy to the calls. That's absolutely fantastic. And if you're just joining in now, remember tonight's call is at 8 p.m. Eastern time, not our normal time. Okay, because otherwise we'll be starting in just a couple minutes. So the thing is, so the first thing is take action, right? That's one way you can do it. The other way that you can deal with it is to refute the thought. Okay, so refute the thought. So when you have the thought, say, I'm never going to pass. Okay, then you have to sit there, what Sarah just said, like, there are people passing on their first try, after 60 days, there are people passing all the time, right? And you can be that person too. I think sometimes we think that because today's not our day, that it's never our day. And it may just be that today's not your day, right? It's a big, huge database of questions and, you get the random pick of the lot. I remember, I'll tell you a story. So I remember one of my former students, he was taking the CPA exam, and the CPA exam, there's some really hard topics on the CPA exam, and it says, it gives you these percentages, right? And so it says, like, for example, no more than 5% of one section of the course is on pensions, and pension accounting is crazy ridiculous. Okay. No more than 5% of the test will be on pensions. So he went through, he figured out he had a massive question about pensions, and then he had like 7 or 8 other questions about pensions. Come to find out, like, he kind of went through and did the math, 40% of this section was on pensions. And that's never supposed to happen, but some fluke happened, and he got, that was the role that he got when it rolled the questions. And like, you're like, dude, I'm sorry, that sucks. Like, okay, so now what happens? And he's like, well, I'm going to take it again in 30 days. I'm like, all right, awesome. Right? He didn't give up, and you can't give up either. Okay. All right. But I think who almost failed her last recertification. So I'll tell you that when I went, so I dropped my certification for a while, and then I came back before I was doing bookkeeper training school, and I got recertified again. And you know what? I passed on the 3rd try of my first test session. I always believe, like, honestly, and if you guys are watching this, the first one is to just get you acclimated. Like, nobody passes on the first try, ever. I wish QuickBooks would release this information, but nobody passes on the first try. Okay. Session 2, okay, this is why they give you 3 tries. Okay, session 2, you're going to get a little bit better. Session 3 is when, I think in bookkeeper training school, I think about 90% of people pass on the 3rd try, right, of their first round. And then people take their second round, and almost 100% of people pass in the second round. Okay. Remember that a lot of you haven't taken a test in God knows how long, right? And so for a lot of you, this is going back to school, right? And so I don't want you to give up. I want you to think about all of the people who have gotten to the next step, right? And all the people who are getting clients, whether or not they're certified, all the people who are getting their next clients, the people who are leaving their jobs, the people who are able to do things that they couldn't do before because of the clients that they've gotten, because of the business that they've built. And I want you to channel that, because you can do it too. And remember that we are here to support you every step of the way. All right, I gotta run because I got another call I gotta go to, okay? Everything was black and white when I last took a test. Exactly. Sarah, you're so awesome. All right, so if you're in Empower Bookkeeper Network, don't forget our call is later tonight, okay? You'll get your text messages, don't worry. And if you are on the fence about buying Bookkeeper Training School, you want to learn more about it, go to bookkeepertrainingschool.com, go check out all the info, because we would love to have you in the most supportive group on the internet. All right, take care. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.